Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Omaha Fashion Week's Fall 2023 Designer Interviews. We are so excited to have you in our show and here with us virtually tonight. We are going to go over some key things that are need to knows for the season, as well as, and I will be recording this for sharing later. So we are going to go over for some key need to knows for the season, as well as do some introductions, and then we'll open it up to questions. But first, I'll introduce myself. I'm Brianna Anderson. I'm Director of Backstage and Community Outreach, which basically just means I am the one that you can talk to with all of your questions. I'm the one who's organizing all of the backstage operations for the show, and I'll be right there with you along the way, all the way up to sending you off on the runway. And then I will pass the mic over to Alyssa.
I thought you were talking about later or something. I'm like, oh, hello.
No,
Hi. My name is Alyssa Diltz. I am the casting director for Omaha Fashion Week. I own developmental management. I've had the pleasure of working with many of you already that in previous seasons. So it's great to see all of you again, and great to see new faces as well. I love doing this on Zoom now because some of you have really cool backgrounds, and I feel like we can get a little touch of your personality on Zoom calls sometimes and a peek into your home. So super cool. Abby Hall, you guys are sisters, I'm assuming, yes? And I texted Brie, I was like, oh my God, who is Abby Hall? I love their background. But yeah, super cool to see all of you. I look forward to working with you.
And we have Brooke on the call. Brooke, do you want to do a quick intro?
Hey, I'm Brooke Hudson. I'm the producer of Omaha Fashion Week, and I'm enjoying this lovely weather outside right now. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting to know you all this season, and I'm really thankful that you decided to join us.
Thanks, Brooke. And then last but not least, we have Sammy on the call if you want to give a quick intro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sammy. I'm the marketing director for Omaha Fashion Week. So anything that you see online is probably from me, especially social media. So if you ever DM that account, you're DMing me and not Bree. I'm sure she'll touch on that later, but the Instagram is me, phone number is Bree.
That's a good point. Yes. If you have questions about marketing, Sammy is your gal. If there's anything forward facing about how we've spelled your name or your label or your link to your website has updated, those kind of things are all for Sammy. And then any other questions about the things that we cover tonight are going to be my wheelhouse. So I will give you guys a quick overview of what we're going to cover tonight so that we're prepared. We're going to go over the season schedule, which is on our Backstage page. We're going to cover both of the Backstage links that I sent you guys in your email. We're going to touch base a little bit more on casting procedures. Alyssa will talk about how that's going to work for Model Call on June 3rd. And then we'll talk about Rack Check, the production elements that we offer you for free on behalf of Omaha Fashion Week, and what to expect for Rack Check, as well as what to expect for shows, how the Backstage will operate, for out-of-town guests, how you're going to book your stay, and fitting dates, and then all of our safety, security information will be touched on. And then last but not least, we'll talk about some of the forms that you'll need to submit, and then when a good time for you to purchase tickets and send those designer discount codes out will be. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen and we will get into it. Let's see here. Okay. So in your email, I sent you guys two different links to two different Backstage pages. As you can see, we have a little pop-up. But this Backstage page is just Omaha Fashion Week /Backstage. And this is going to be sent out to not only you, but your models, and then all of the Beauty Alliance team members as well. So this is more of a general know-how. The other page that we're going to cover is more geared towards designers, but this is great resources to share with your models, as well as people that you might know that want to join the Beauty Alliance once they join. And then you'll find a map on here as well if you need that information to get to the venue. But otherwise, we're going to live over here. in the second page I shared with you guys, which is /August 2023. It is just shared with designers. So as you can see, you can bookmark it. Welcome aboard. This is just for you guys. And here are where some of the key contacts live for the show. We just talked to producer Brooke, and then marketing Sammy, model casting Alyssa. But then as well on here is our photographer information. Heather at heatherandjameson.com is going to be your contact if you'd like to get some professional videography and photography from the shows. And I will be sending out a little bit more of that later. And then music choices, you'll receive an email from Keith Roger about your sound for the show. So stay tuned for those emails as well. But let's get into some key dates. So as you can see, we are here at Designer Orientation. Congrats, you've made it through 4 key dates already. Look at us go. We do not have any kids this season, so we won't be having a kids casting for Develop, but in the future, if you guys show with us again, that's something that we will do. June 3rd is going to be model call at Oakview Mall, and that's going to be starting at 1 p.m. As a team, we're going to get there a little bit earlier. So if you want to scout out the line and show up a little bit earlier than 1, that's a great idea. Find your seat. Model call is not required for designers, but it's heavily encouraged because there's no better way to see someone's walk and overall look than in person right in front of you. So if you are able to come out, that would be a really good opportunity to see the entire pool of models. Last season, we had 500 models, so expect it to be just a few hours of your day, but a lot of content for you to absorb. And it's a lot easier to see that in person than over the digital archive we're going to provide to you. While it is totally comprehensive online, it's just a lot to go through. So I recommend going to model call in person, writing down some numbers, taking notes on who really stands out to you, and that will be an easy and quick way to kind of get a feel. One thing I do want to emphasize is that model call is open to the public. So if you know anybody that wants to come out, encourage them to show up. Your models will need to attend model call. If you want someone so bad, you have to have them attend model call, and we cannot guarantee that they'll be yours. We operate off of a preferences casting process, which Alyssa is going to talk more about soon. But you definitely need to encourage anyone you want considered to show up. It's a really fun event. There's going to be music, tons of people. It's a great networking opportunity. But like I said, don't promise anyone that they'll walk for you. If you do want to network with some of the models, that's great, but we can't make any promises until we go through our many processes where we make everyone happy. So I think that's a great segue into letting Alyssa talk a little bit more about model call, so I can, give you guys a break from my voice, and we'll switch over to her really quick.
Brilliant. So I have just our updated booking conditions sheet. Did you want me to screen share that, or did they get a copy of that?
They did not. You'll need to share it.
Okay. Can you enable
I
screen share?
just did. I think it should work.
Brilliant. There it goes.
Forget
I
to.
tried it a second ago. You were quick on that. Perfect. Okay. So if you guys want to just take a peek at this, these are just, an overall idea of what the process looks like for when we're dealing with how to book models and making sure you get the right models that represent your brand the way that you want them to, your muses, right? And I try to do a process that makes everyone happy and nobody happy. No, I'm kidding. We try to make everyone happy and get you the models that you've requested. But it is, as Bree was saying, a process that we go through with your preferences, so no guarantees. And what that allows for us to do is we're always looking for the maximum number of opportunities for the models to walk. So we only have one model per look, and each model can only walk for one designer. And that way too, it eliminates having to do any quick changes backstage, safety hazards, things that go on with your garments when quick changes are involved. And you're also able to have that dedicated look with the hair and makeup and styling. So we switched to this process quite a while ago. We love how it has affected the number of people that are able to be involved with our community events. So that being said, like Bree also mentioned, I really think going to the actual model call is super beneficial for all designers. The reason being is because of the great number of models that we have that have come and turned out to these castings. When you receive the information to go through to do your casting or your choosing of your models, it's all in a Dropbox and it's numbered form. It's a still image of a beauty shot, still image of a full length shot, and then the model's video, watching them walk. And if you can imagine what that Dropbox looks like with nearly 400 people in it, by the time you get to like model 100, you're going to be pretty fatigued. So, but if you're in person, it's exciting. There's a DJ going on. You can know, the models would go, kind of send them one right after another, and you're able to really see them, feel their vibes, feel their personality in person, write their numbers down. And then when you get the material that's compiled later, you can go back to, if you had 40 of your favorites, go back, kind of whittle that down to, putting them in your favorites order. And it just seems to be a much easier process on you guys to make it more quick and kind of cull through all of that information. So that's definitely a huge tip that I would give. We also, I have met with some models previously. We had a casting prep workshop for all new models. And, I think we had about 50 people that were on that call. And I gave them the little tip for them to arrive early as well, for that exact same reason. It's always better to be at the front of the line. And so I think it's always great to give those people that are making the effort to come to other meetings and come to the casting and want to be super involved and are excited, the chance to be seen. So I always think that the people at the front of the line always seem to be the ones that care the most, in my opinion. So love that. And just an idea there. So when we're talking about turning in your selections, definitely please do that as quickly as possible. It's really hard. I can't do any part of my job until we have all of the information in. And so in previous seasons past, it might be like one designer hanging up the whole process, because again, I go back to trying to get as many models involved as possible so everyone gets a chance. So if I don't have all 4 days of booking information and all of it in, I can't sit down and do my Tetris of where we're putting models and when, if I don't have all of that information. Because if I, can't put this model on this night, I want to make sure I can put them on this night so they get an opportunity to walk. And so if you can get that information in quickly, then our timeline, mine and Bree's timeline that we've meticulously put together and conquered over the last few years, can be executed in a really great manner. So please.
Yeah, could I say something on that?
Yeah.
So that whole thing of making that deadline for your selections is really important too, because Alyssa takes a whole day and blocks that off to do the casting. I don't know if she said this, but I mean, there's been times she's had to like reschedule, doesn't have their stuff into her. So, we want to make sure we're being respectful of Alyssa's time that she's putting aside to do this work, because she does have an entire other business to run. So
Oh, thanks, Brooke.
there you go. Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah, last season I rescheduled a trip. I was going to
That's
LA and I changed my flight to come back here to book models for Fashion Week because
Yeah.
people weren't hitting deadlines. So yes, thank you, Brooke.
Yeah. We love
That's super
Alyssa.
sweet.
And we love all of you too. But
Aw.
it's important, we all have to work as a team. And so we don't make these deadlines just arbitrarily. There's always a reason. If we have some people that aren't on board with that, for all of us to do a great job for you.
Yeah, totally. Team effort and timelines are there for a reason. Thank you, Brooke. Yes.
Yep.
So getting that information in is super important. And then just so you guys are aware, it's not like I have, if you submit me, maybe you're doing 8 looks and you only submit 8 looks, or 8 models because, well, I only like these 8 models. That doesn't work with our process. It doesn't, frankly, it actually is very counterproductive to getting any one of those 8, because we've explained it to you right now. We need you to give us as many as possible so that I can try to get someone that piqued your interest and that you liked, because it is this kind of game of like, okay, I can't give this designer all 8 of the people that they want, but I can give them their favorite top 3. There are 3 that they put in their favorites order, and I can give them their first 3, and then I have to replace or use our alternates in the last 5 slots. So it's things like that that we really try to work hard at, being fair to all designers, because many times designers pick a lot of the same models. So we want to try to play that as fairly as possible. And so, yeah, to Brooke's point, it's actually for August shows, it's typically 2 full days that I block off my schedule from the work that I do here at the agency in order to kind of put all that together. And then of course there's residual days as well. So during that kind of follow-up time of after you've submitted and when we start working on that process, it's really great if you guys can be near your cell phones as well, in case I have like a last minute question, because again, it's like a domino effect. If I can't answer, hey, what is the reasoning that you booked this size of model? Is there any chance that there is, that skirt's adjustable, or do we have some leeway there? I don't know that in this form that you submitted, so I need to text you that sometimes. And I can't wait 2 days to hear back. Even if I wait 6 hours to hear back, it really throws me off of the schedule. So if there's a way to properly, if you guys can get back to, listen, I understand we all have full-time jobs and school and other commitments. So sometimes I may ask that question hoping to get a response. And then if I don't, I have to make the best decision possible for that moment too. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is please, please, please just roll with it. There's all amazing models. We work with so many talented people that are excited to walk for you. They want to make your stuff look amazing. Brooke and her team spends, so many hours and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to give you this platform. I promise we're trying to get you the best models possible and make the best decisions to make that work for everyone. But yeah, always 1,000% easier for you to give me as many alternates in that lineup when you're making your selection, makes the process better for you. Because if you don't, what happens? I have to do replacements. There's never been one single designer that's gotten every model that they ask. It's just the reality. Of course, I try to limit that. Of course, I try to give you the bulk of the models that you've requested, but sometimes it just plays out that every designer chooses all the 12 same models for every night. It's just sometimes impossible. And so if I have to start making those decisions and say, okay, well, you chose this model who is 5'11" and a size 2 and has this skin tone and this hair texture, I'm going to try and find someone like them as that replacement for you. And maybe you don't like their look or their walk or something, but if you give me alternates that you do like, then of course I'll choose from those instead.
To jump in really quick on that point, you will get the form and you'll have a 2-day period to complete this. So you'll only have 48 hours and I'll give you the link ahead of time so that you can, do it right when it opens that morning. But you'll have 30 options. So I know what your model counts are because you also will tell us that in the form. So let's say if you had 8 looks, like Alyssa said, you can fill out your preference for the first 8, and then you have 22 more alternates that you can give me. It makes us so happy when you fill out all 30 so that we have so many options that will make you happy, and it makes Alyssa's life a whole lot easier so that she has, you know, a handful of great options to look at for you instead of having to go completely back to the model pool and start fresh with a whole new idea that you may or may not be happy with. So like she said, the workload it's large for us. I'm sorting through piles of data and then I'm passing it off to Alyssa, who's trying to not only make you guys really happy, but also incorporate as many models to make them happy. So the more that you can do for us, the earlier you can submit the form, the more alternates you can give us, the better to make everybody happy.
Yes, I love that. And then the other thing, I think there's somewhere on the form, correct me if I'm wrong, Bree, that you can, a designer can describe their collection.
Yeah,
Is that
you can
correct?
describe your overall
Yeah.
vibe of the collection, and as well, you can describe the kind of vibe that you want for your models if there's any specific things you're looking for.
Yeah, and so that's always super helpful too. I mean, if you fill out the 30, we're gonna give you all of those models. I mean, I don't know that I've ever not done that, but maybe. But it also though helps because I, of course, own develop model management, and I have a pool of models that sometimes can't make it to the call, or they're veteran models willing to jump in, and they're incredibly talented. And I know they'll like kill it for you. So if you give me a vibe and in your alternates that are left weren't that vibe for that look or those sizes, I have this pool that I can kind of put professional models in for you as well. So it's just really great for me to get to know you and know what your vibe is and what you're looking for. And that also really helps during rack check, which do you want me to talk about? So I don't know, were there any other questions?
We'll talk about the rest of the schedule, and then once rack check's a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay.
Sophia raised her hand though for a while. I don't know if she
Yeah.
still has a question. Sophia? No?
Oh,
I-
sorry. Yeah, you guys have been explaining very well. So no, I no longer have
Okay.
questions. Thank you.
Perfect.
Hey, hey, I have one more thing. Did you guys cover that if a designer's like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is too overwhelming to go through 500 models. Alyssa, could you just select for me? Is that still an option?
Yes, 100%. That's always a really great option. Again, we have other, well, I mean, we'll use the people that come to the casting, of course, first, but sometimes there's some killer models at the casting, and maybe you've overlooked them or something like that. Of course, I'm going to work to get you the best models that I know, into those spots. So if that's easiest for you, that's a super easy thing for me to do. If you just kind of explain your vibe to me, it's like I've been doing this for like 20 plus years and I do a good job at it, so I can help. But definitely, in that case, you would just communicate that to Bree. She would put it on my form and I'd get to town.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, a lot of our veteran designers, that's what they do. They're just like, okay, Alyssa, here's what it is. Choose my models. Hi. Oh, and Graham says hi, my son.
Hi,
Um,
Graham.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that she's this is her job. She's very good at this, and she will not let you down if you would prefer to have a professional do that work for you. Sorry, guys. Who
And
wants to be part
Caitlin,
of
I
it?
know you had a question.
Hi, yeah, sorry, I'm at my local bar that has Wi-Fi. So just a couple questions about model calls, either to make things easier or clarify some things. One of them would be, Alyssa, if I have technical specs to send to you about how things should fit on a model, would that work for just telling you to select a model instead of selecting them myself?
Yes, yep. So if you give me your vibe or, you know, like what your ultimate muse would be if you were to describe that, and then give me measurements and or, you know, whatever specs or what you're looking for, describing that, super easy. I can just choose for you and I'll meet those. We do that with the UNL show in the spring. They quite seriously only put, well, like kind of what they're trying, their vibe, and then the measurements, and then I match up talent to that.
Quick question on that. What's your point of measurements, or how many?
For us, the easiest, because all we collect at the model call is bust, waist, hip. for the female models, and then chest, waist, inseam for male models.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions before we move on from model call? No? All righty. I will take over screen sharing if,
Perfect. Yes, I can kick myself off. There.
let me kick you off. Okay, I am gonna share with you guys that backstage page again, and we'll jump back into the rest of the schedule for the season. Okay, so as we discussed, the selection period's 48 hours. It is going to be June 9th through the 10th. Chances are good that I will send you that email on June 8th at some point, or it might be in the middle of the night, depending on how my life goes. But you'll get it before June 9th, so mark your calendars. The earlier, the better. You could do it the morning before work, or you can do it late at night. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you get it done before June 10th. We are strictly cutting it off. So if you can't fill out the form in time, then Alyssa's just going to cast for you. We do run a tight schedule between her, owning her business and me working during the weekdays. So that's what we'll do there. And I think we've discussed everything about that. If you guys do have any questions that you think of as we move on, feel free to put them in the chat. So I'm going to be sending out notices by late June. We did bump up model call a week before it usually is. So I'm expecting to send out the notices in mid-June for you guys. When you get those emails, they will include a little bit of information and then an actual spreadsheet of all of your models' informations. So it's going to be their first and last name, their phone number, their email, their measurements, their shoe size, their hair and eye color, and their height. And so you'll have all of the information that you should need moving forward. We encourage you to immediately just copy and paste that list of emails and send them an introduction, or do so within the week. Because if you think about it, a lot of these models are teenagers or college kids, and the chances are pretty good that they've come to casting and a month later they're going to be like, what? Oh, I said I was free August 24th. Oh, somebody invited me to their lake house. You never know. So it's really good that you get on their radar as soon as you possibly can and say, I'm so excited to work with you. Mark this date off in your calendar. If you can make the decision on when your fittings are going to be ahead of time, or say you'll be in touch soon, that's great. I'm noticing that I did not update this, and it would obviously not be February, it'd be August. So just get on their radar, let them know a little bit about yourself so that they know who you are, they know who to reach out to. If you do not hear back from your models and you send that message and it's been a week or so, let me know. I'm happy to text them, call them, figure out a way to get a hold of them. And if we don't hear back, Alyssa, like she said, has hundreds of other models eager for the opportunity to walk, and we'll just go ahead and make a replacement that's suitable. We want people to be responsive so that you can rely on them, and vice versa. So that's really important to know. And once I send out those castings, I'm also going to send out a designer discount code that you can share not only with your models, but also with your family, your friends, put it on your social media, wherever you want to spread the word about ticket sales. It's really important that you do so because you actually get a kickback of 10%. From the sales. So it's 15% off for the night of your showcase. If you're showing on Thursday, you can send that out to everyone and they can get 15% off to come watch you on Thursday. And then I will compile the total sales from your discount code, and I will send you a payment of 10% of those sales. So that's some money in your pocket, and it's promotion for your brand. It's an all-around win. It's only open for 2 weeks, so make sure that you start promoting it right away and you let your models know that their parents need to book with your code right away, because we don't make any exceptions past that deadline, and that will be our last sale of the season. After that, tickets are full price. And then the next big fun thing that you'll let your models know about is Model Bootcamp. That takes place on Zoom. Alyssa, the extraordinaire, the expert, will be coaching them, letting them know what to expect for the shows. And it's free. You don't need to be on it, but it's great to tell your models and encourage them to hop on the call, because it gives them a lot of information, kind of like this call, where they will be prepared and be better at responding to you. So it's an all-around win. The next time that I will actually get to see you guys in person, face to face, is Rack Check at the Omaha Design Center, which is August 6th. That's a Sunday. It's going to be a full day event, but you will be time slotted on when your arrival is. We typically go from 12 to about 6 p.m. So expect that if you're out of town and your commute is more than a few hours, you'll want to book the hotels with the discounts that I'm going to share with you guys. And then, you know, vice versa. If you're just not trying to drive late into the night, you might want to book for overnight after Sunday. But this is required. You need to be there in person. So request off work, do what you've got to do to get this date available. One of the key reasons that you need to be there is because you are the creative director for your brand. And we're going to be shooting production content that will be shown during the show. And we want you to have your stamp on it. We want to make sure that it represents you well, that everything is styled to a T. And it's really hard to do that if you can't make it. So please, please, please do everything in your power to be there on August 6th at the Omaha Design Center, same place as the showcase is. You're expected to have your collection complete, besides maybe some tailoring and hems. Final little touches are okay after that, but you will be sitting in front of the panel and showing them your collection in entirety, and they will be looking up close and personal at all the little details, giving you overarching feedback, and providing you with any answers that you might have. They will also be scoring you for the overarching scores that indicate who wins the overall season Golden Shears Award. I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but it is on the designer website, so you might have taken a peek already. So you will get a few things on this day. You'll get a time slot. You'll show up to the Omaha Design Center at your 1 hour mark before your time. That way you can load in your garments, steam them, say hello to your one featured model, get yourself set up in a little table zone where maybe models come for fittings later in the day. You'll want to kind of claim your spot in the space and be prepared. You will meet one featured model. Alyssa is going to cast that model from probably your lineup, or outside of your lineup if you don't have a developed model represented in your lineup. So it will be a developed model. That way we know that they are properly coached and ready to go with all of the photo and video that will take place. And like she'll talk a little bit more about this, but it will be from your lineup most likely. Alyssa, do you want to talk a little bit, interrupt me a little bit about how you do cast that?
Yes. So what I do once I have the Rack Check lineup, all the designers, right? Then I go through and I look at your models that are booked for the show, and I have a spreadsheet, and everyone that is a developed model that's in your lineup goes into the spreadsheet. Then I look at everyone, because multiple models are probably for multiple designers on different nights, and we kind of whittle it down until we have representation, a different model for every designer. But that is in that lineup. So very, very, very rarely is it outside of your lineup, just from the sheer number of, I mean, I don't know how it works out that way so lovingly. Like, it's like you guys choose actual models that are professional. Imagine that. But because we don't put, whether or not a model is from develop or not. So we kind of just let that roll with it, trust the process, know that you're going to get an amazing model, no matter who it is. And if there is not a developed model in your lineup, I look at all of the models that are booked and book someone. Again, I go back to what your description of your muse is or your collection is, and find someone that fits the similar look of the models that you did book, so that it has a similar, fitting and that sort of thing. But the developed models, every single person at Rack Check, every model is always going to be a developed model.
Yes. And so they will say hello to you. You'll get them in your featured look. We like to say that that's either probably your first or last look on the runway. It's going to be your wow moment. This is going to encapsulate your brand. When people see this photo and video of your model in that look, that's my brand, that represents me. So you want to really think carefully about what look that's going to be. And if you have a specific look that you're like, this has to be it, please let us know right when you get your models cast. As soon as possible, let me or Alyssa know, hey, this is the measurement for the look I want to use. Can we make sure that my rack check model fits within that? That way we can make a note before things get too crazy and people are confirmed, and everyone will be satisfied. So your model will be dressed in that signature look. They'll get their hair and makeup done with our Beauty Alliance team. This will be a great time for you to say hello, find out who your mentor Beauty Alliance members are going to be, and they're going to lead the students in creating your entire collection backstage. So you'll find out a lot that day. And then you will go to get your interview done with the panel, show them everything that you've got so far, take some feedback, they'll score you. Again, that will take like 10 minutes, similar to your interview, only this time in person, finally. And then we will take you to Heather and Jameson, who are our runway photographer and videographers. They also shoot our editorial. They are amazing. So they're going to be shooting that featured model in photo and video. And all of that content will appear before your collection marches the runway. There's a lovely video that plays, and our producer, Nick Hudson, who has a lovely British voice, will read some copy about your collection so people get a feel for who you are as a designer while this beautiful video plays, and then out marches your collection. So then the photo will actually appear on social media and then within our magazine and possibly in other print materials. And you'll be provided with both of those elements so that you can use them to promote the show. But you won't get them until obviously after they're taken a rack check. So it'll be probably mid-August that you can promote with those materials. So that's all really exciting. And then also, a few other, I'm going to scroll down really quick. A few other production elements are offered to you on behalf of Omaha Fashion Week. Obviously, we have to have music while your models rock the runway. Keith Roger, our music director, will reach out to you via email, and he will help you get situated with that. If you know a song or some sort of vibe that really speaks to you for your collection, that's going to be helpful. But it's kind of one of those, like Alyssa said, some people are experts, you know, she can cast you great models, he can select you great music. His job is audio engineering, so he can actually craft you great music if that's something that you want. So you just kind of need to name your game with him and what kind of vibe you want, and he's going to figure something out. And then the LED wall will play behind you, and that is a beautiful floor to ceiling LED display, and we like it to be very vibrant and active and moving, and it's going to showcase the overall vibe of your collection. There's, you know, if you have like an all green collection inspired by plants, we had that last year. There were like some blooming flowers and plants moving behind the collection as the models walked. That's the kind of thing that we want to make sure we really optimize, because an LED wall is not cheap, y'all. So we got to really get our money's worth. We don't want any like still images. We want it to be very moving. The only thing that we also do say is white backgrounds that are primarily white or light are not great, because when the photographer shoots your model, it becomes this like glowing halo where you lose part of the arm and stuff like that in the background because of how bright it is. So we'll play with our like colors and darker colors to make everything look as good as possible. And someone will sit down alongside of you and guide you through that process, either at rack check or via Zoom. Not sure yet, but stay tuned.
That'll probably be me, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
the expert herself.
I know. Yes, it will probably be me. And we're throwing a ton of detail at you, but we will, I mean, it's all going to be on this page, but we'll also walk through the detail with you at rack check. So
Exactly. Sorry if
Yeah.
I'm inundating everyone. I want you guys to know all the information, but we will essentially be holding your hand through the process as we guide you from step to step during rack check, and everything will be really natural, and you get to work with Brooke. So what else could be better?
Okay, we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see. It's
We'll
fun though. I like it's fun figuring out what's going to look good on that screen. So
Yeah.
we'll have a
That's
good
one
time.
of the most fun elements that you get to play with. A lot of these are very creative. We want this to feel like it encapsulates your brand. Like while the models are walking, that's your moment, you know? So we want every element that the guests are experiencing to really feel like you. So that's a big reason why we let you guys, you know, decide so many of these things. Caitlin, do you have a question before I move on?
Yes. So really quick, I think this question would be for Sammy, but are there any rules on posting to social media from our accounts? Like for like tagging Omaha Fashion Week or anything like that?
Sammy, you're muted. Oh, there we go.
Did it work?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, honestly, you can post anything you want. I love behind the scenes content, and so do our followers. Basically anything. Just make sure you go ahead and tag Omaha Fashion Week. We're on every platform like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of that good stuff. So if you tag us anywhere on there, I will see it. I will repost it. Yeah, go wild. I love when designers post. It makes my job a hell of a lot easier. And it's also really cool for our followers to see a little sneak peek into what goes on. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
For sure.
Also on that note, because we do sponsor, we meaning Develop Model sponsors Omaha Fashion Week, even if the model isn't from us, if you tag Develop Models in and you want us to repost something, tag us in it, we'll repost it. And we have really great reach in the fashion world. And sometimes there's even models that I haven't met yet. I get to meet them. We offer them a contract. Some other people on our platform might see them and they can get great exposure that way. So we always say like, tag us in everything. We'll retag for sure or repost in that manner too.
Yeah.
Definitely. And on that note, just while we're talking about credits and sponsors and whatnot, one thing that I do see typically after the shows when people get so excited about reposting all their runway content, making sure you tag your photographers as well. Heather and Jameson on Instagram is a huge piece for everyone. It's kind of just general rule of thumb that if you're posting any in-show content, you tag all three of us, Omaha Fashion Week, Develop Models, and Heather and Jameson. We all have those exact ats as our name on pretty much everything. So that's a really good rule of thumb. I did, while I'm talking right now, just want to kind of jump in about Rack Check really quick. Bree had mentioned your in-show production content and part of that being the verbal introduction of your collection. I'm the one that writes all of those, and I basically take all of your applications and notes from your designer interviews, which you guys have obviously already completed. And I basically compile all of that. And then I have an assistant sit in on your interviews during Rack Check to update any information that has changed. So we've had it where people come to their Rack Check interviews and they're like, so my entire collection is completely different. Nothing is the same. And that's a huge reason why your Rack Check interviews are important to be in person for, but also really thorough. Because if I write your introduction based on your application and then your Rack Check interview is completely different, obviously I'm going to want to know that. And on top of that, a lot of times designers have a really specific quote or very specific inspiration. And if you know for a fact that you haven't directly shared that verbiage, either in Rack Check or in your interview or on your application, do let me know on that day. I'll make a reminder like while you're going through the process. But just be thinking if you really have something like, I need these exact words to be said, I can totally work with you on that. And it's super easy, but I just need to know to make sure it's exactly what you want.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Sammy's role during Rack Check, she will be stationed with Heather and Jameson by photo and video. And during that time, after you guys have figured out the overall vibe and Heather gets to shooting, you'll have some time to sit with Sammy and talk. So that's a great time to tell her any direct quotes or any changes in inspiration that you really want to come across before in that video read. She'll also be doing pronunciations of both your name and the brand via voice memo so that we make sure that we get it and nail it on the head. So yeah, that's a great time to mention anything to her as well.
Yeah. And again, you don't need to remember all of this right now, but during Rack Check, just know that while you're getting your production content, I will be chatting with you and asking you a bunch of questions and asking you to speak into my phone. Yeah, that's it for me. Thanks, Bree.
Yeah. Lauren, did you have a question before we move on?
Yeah, so with the quote thing, could we email that to you too?
Totally, yeah. And
Yeah.
Sammy's
Okay.
email is just sammy@omahaeventgroup.com, and it is on the top of this page. Scrolled the wrong way. So you'll have her email for things like that. That would be perfect. Any marketing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, you would make my life so much easier. I would love you forever. But either way, I will double check with you on rack check, even if you do send things in. But yeah, I would love that. Thank you, Lauren.
Perfect. And then Sammy will also corner you before you leave and make sure you fill out our production form. That is just going to be a short little form that reiterates your name and label name, asks you again if anything has changed. So that's a great place to fill it out. And then it will let you opt into both photo and video content from Heather and Jameson so that they can reach out and give you a quote and some idea of what that would entail. And you can decide on if you want to do it. And then it also lets you opt in to our wonderful and free event, Shop the Runway Sunday. We encourage everyone that possibly can to do this event. This is a great event to get your name out there. It's free. You get an entire booth, you get a rack, and you can display your merchandise. It doesn't have to be just the stuff you just showed. It can be everything you've ever made and more. So bring all of your stuff to sell to the public. Be prepared to have a way to take payment, whether that be a Venmo, a Square Reader, anything that works for you. Not a lot of people carry cash, so make sure you have a way to take payment, and have everything priced out. If you have questions before Shop the Runway Sunday on your pricing, we are so happy to give you some feedback and advice, to make sure that you are selling your things at a price that, you know, makes you a profit and values you as a designer. So we want to make sure you do that. Brittany, did you have a question?
Yes. So because we're selling stuff and I'm not from Omaha, will I need a Omaha business license?
No, we don't require anyone to have business license. I haven't looked into it super detailed, but I believe that there is a reason that you don't need one.
I've
Basically,
never needed one. I'm
yeah, you're just
out
selling
of
your
state,
wares.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need one. You should be able to just pop up and sell all of your things. We'll have space to accommodate everyone. And there's honestly a few hundred people that show out that day it's on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that's a really good opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Caitlin, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I'm coming from out of state. I'm not sure if anyone else is coming from out of state, but just to add on to that, I personally have a transient business license with the state of Ohio. So you just want to check with your state if you need a transient business license to sell in other states. Just to add to that.
Thank you for that information. Yeah, I'll look more into that for you guys, and I'll possibly send you guys a link if I find anything, but definitely check with your state, like Caitlin said. That's great information. But yeah, otherwise that event is free. We're gonna have mimosas, we're gonna have snacks. It's, you know, get your family and friends to RSVP to it so we can send them a little bit of a reminder, but or just text them that day and tell them to show up. So that's a great opportunity to take so that you guys can turn a profit on this show, instead of, you know, just doing it and then going home. So I got a little sidetracked off rack check, but I believe that we've talked about everything for that day, unless Alyssa had more to share at all.
The only two things I was going to bring up were just respecting the model's time once they are booked. So making sure if you have fittings, big suggestion, do them all at once on one day. Don't ask for multiple fittings because the models aren't being paid. Of course, they're volunteering, just like, you know, you were there to show your things as well. So just wanting to always be respectful of that, because some of the models even drive in from out of town to participate. So something to keep in mind. If you are from out of town and coming in, I know the day of rack check, the venue is typically a great time and a great place to do fittings. There's also the Fashion Arts Collective right down the street from the Omaha Design Center. And there's a private parlor that you can do fittings at. And it's always open extra hours during leading up to Fashion Week, and we can always make additional arrangements should it not be during open hours, to give you guys a place where you're not having to have models come to your homes or hotel rooms or anything like that. So love to throw that out there. And in addition, if there's, I just always like to mention this, that because I say it to the models as well, we can't request them to purchase any specific items. So for instance, if you love this one shoe because it goes with the collection and that's how you envisioned it, it's a cowboy boot or something like that, or a heel that is neon green and you really want neon green heels, that would be something that you would have to purchase and provide for the models. We can't ask our models to have to make those purchases. So just kind of keep that in mind. Surely normal shoes are, like a sneaker or a heel of some sort, is a total applicable request. And that's of course fine, but it can't be anything specific.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up for sure. That's a big thing that we tell our models to have, nude undergarments and a nude pump and a black pump, and males to have a nice dress loafer. But anything outside of that is a special request. So you will need to ask them. It's possible that, half your models do have a combat boot and that's what you wanted, and that works perfectly. But for the others, Goodwill or Thrift World, those are great opportunities to find some, Facebook Marketplace, find something cheap. You don't have to buy it at full price, but you will have to provide it. That also brings me to the fact that accessories are also not provided. So the Beauty Alliance is going to work, wonders on your hair and makeup, and they're able to make all of those dreams come true. If you do have like a special, like my look requires gold glitter, we're going to know that in advance. So we'll be able to purchase some of those things. But if you want a million butterfly clips in all of your model's hair, we're not going to provide those. You'll have to bring them on the day of rack check and then bring them to shows as well. So anything that counts as an accessory is part of your styling.
Extensions.
Extensions
Extensions is a big one. Yeah, we don't provide extensions.
No, we don't provide any types of hair clips, bows. If you want special lashes, like white eyelashes, lashes get pretty expensive for us, so we'll need you to provide those. If you want a bunch of rhinestones on the face, things like that, just ask me, and I'll be able to clarify for you what will be covered and what won't. Did anybody have questions on that? I saw some hands go up.
Oh, wait. Hi, I have a question. Shoe size, is that included in the information that you get from the models?
It will be, yes. So you'll have that right away when you know who your models are.
Thank you.
For the beauty team that we get on the day of the show, are we getting specific beauty teams again, or are we going to have kind of like a table of beauticians kind of going at everybody whenever people are available?
Yeah, great question. So we will be doing the same strategy that worked last season, if you guys were around, which is you're going to be assigned on rack check to a mentor. So we'll have beauty pros and beauty students. You'll be assigned to a team that's a hair and makeup mentor pro, and they'll be working with you from rack check to also your show. And then the students won't be assigned to the teams until the day of shows, because students can be a little flaky. We want to make sure your teams are fully built out. But you'll have a team from anywhere from 4 to 8 Beauty Alliance members. It depends on the size of your collection and what's needed. And you will know who those leads are during rack check, and they'll work with you on your vision, and then they'll also work with you during shows.
Amazing, cool. I love that method.
I know, it's great. The only reason we stopped doing it was COVID and lack of stylists.
My
But
last
now
season was 2
back to the
seasons
glory
ago,
days.
and I had to do the COVID version, so I was like, what's it gonna be like again?
Yeah, with the masks, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that kind of segues me nicely into the fact that you guys will be filling out a preference form. So I'll touch base on forms really quickly. You have a designer feature form that was due May 15th. I know not all of you guys have completed it, so I did leave it open until tomorrow night. If you haven't completed that, Sammy will need that from you to be able to feature you on social and our blog. That's, another free opportunity for press for you, but we're not going to chase you down. So if you don't fill it out by tomorrow, you won't be included in the blog release, but we'd love to hear from you. So make sure you check that email and fill out that form if you haven't. We talked about casting preferences, but you will also have an opportunity way before rack check to fill out your hair and makeup vision. It's going to talk a little bit about what do you foresee for hair, what do you see for makeup, dive into any specifics you want to share with us, and then also submit up to 5 photos of your hair vision, up to 5 photos of your makeup vision. We'll create a little mood board kind of booklet for the stylist to flip through and for us to reference throughout the season. So that's really helpful for us to have in advance. And I'm going to be meeting with the Beauty Alliance team, and then that'll be sent out to you at some point in June, and it'll be due by the end of June for you guys. And then if for some reason your ambitions are like a little bit confusing, or if I need to have any follow-ups, I'll get you connected with our lead Beauty Alliance at Soho Hair Academy. And they will kind of clarify anything with you on your vision. So that is great. We talked about final production information. So that's all the forms. If you don't have the link, go to the /August 2023. The link to the designer feature form is listed. And as we progress through the season, all the other forms will be added onto this page for you as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to cover before we finish up the schedule was back to the fittings conversation. Like Alyssa said, fittings are important for you, obviously, to do. For some of you out-of-state designers, it might be a little bit tricky. So that's why Rack Check is a great opportunity. We will also be providing the Leo Ballroom for 2 days before shows. So that Tuesday and Wednesday before our shows start, we're going to have some slots for you guys to sign up at the Leo Ballroom for fittings. We'll have sewing machines, we'll have changing areas, we'll have everything you need to complete your fittings for out-of-state designers or for in-state designers. Whoever wants to can use that. But I think that'll be a great opportunity for you guys to internally do that with us. And that way someone will be on site with you as well to answer any maybe last minute questions that come up before showtime. So we'll be sending out some more information about that as well. I just saw a chat go in. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's finish up the schedule really quick. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. So the last few things will happen during show week. We'll have show rehearsal August 23rd, which is the Wednesday before shows. That is not required for you guys, but is also a great opportunity to do fittings. It begins at 6 p.m. at Omaha Design Center, and models will come, they'll walk the runway. We'll give them feedback, they'll get a tour of the building. All of the models are required to attend. So if you want to do fittings, if you want to meet them in person and talk to them about something, if you want to figure out what your lineups are, whatever you need to do before the shows, that's a great opportunity for you to get it done. We won't have sewing machines on site there, so you would just be doing some pinning if you had to do any of that kind of thing, but that's why the Leo will be open a little bit before. And then August 24th through 26th is showtime, as we know. You guys have your lineups. Those have been released to the public, but they're also on this page for you if you need to go back to that. We currently just have them in alphabetical order. This is not the order that they're going to be in. We will determine the actual show order during rack check based on scores from interviews and rack check. I will compile those, get the designer or the panelist feedback, and then I'll create a lineup for the shows. So you guys can reference this, and you can also buy tickets here and RSVP to Shop the Runway Sunday via those links. We talked about Shop the Runway Sunday, make your money, get your salesperson underoos on is what it says. I think
I
Brooke
got
wrote
something.
that.
Did I write? That's, oh my God. Okay. Well, need to update the copy. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to say that relates to Rack Check is our lead generation program that we do during shows.
Yeah.
And how that ties into Rack Check. Are you planning to talk about that?
No, I mean, if you want, I can.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. But if you want to carry it away,
Yeah.
that's great.
Well, I think this is really important, and I wish I'm hoping that we can make a bigger deal out of this season than we have in the past. But during each show, we have, I can't remember how we did it this past year. I think what we do is we invite the audience to text our texting line, the name of your collection or what your brand is. And then what that does is it responds back to that person with like your website, your Instagram handle, but then it also sends you that person's phone number. And we don't get a name from that person because we want it to be a super quick connection. But that way you can follow up with that person yourself and just say, hey, I saw that you were inquiring about my collection tonight. I'd love to see you at Rack Check on Sunday. If you want, we can set up an appointment for you to have a fitting. So it's like, if you can respond to the customer immediately after your show, or even like, during the show, that real-time connection makes people more likely to want to engage with you and hopefully buy some of your clothes. So that's something that we are really excited. And we've been doing this for a long time, but we've really gotten better about making sure that not only are we sending the customer your contact information, but we're also connecting you directly to the customer with their phone number so you can respond to them. So highly recommend, as those come in, when you get text messages from us as your collection's coming out, you're going to get some like actual data around how your collection is performing, which is really fun.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. And that message, Brooke has, so many smarts now and automated text messages. We have become queens of Zapier. So that message will come into us through text. And in previous seasons past, we had to manually pull spreadsheets and then we'd send you the information. And just that delay in time of even a day kind of makes people forget they're not at the show anymore. So you need to definitely message them back before they leave, before 10 p.m. And you can even say, hey, thank you so much for inquiring. I'm going to be standing out in the lobby once the show is over, and I'd love to meet you. And that's a great time to get a face-to-face. But they also will get information about Shop the Runway Sunday within that text. So you can also say, I'd love to see you at Shop the Runway Sunday. I'm going to be selling my goods there and I'll put this item on hold for you. Like, it's just such a great opportunity for you to make those connections and really grab those sales as they're coming in off the runway before people have seen 12 other collections and forgotten. So definitely I know you want to watch the show, definitely watch and enjoy your moment. But once your models are done walking, check your phone. That's the first thing you should do. And you should respond to all those texts because that will be such a great way for you guys to get some real life customers right away. So thank you for bringing that up, Brooke. I'm glad you remembered that. So yeah, I think that covers everything for our schedule and our forms. Definitely check that out for tickets. You'll want to have your friends and family make note of the days when the designer discounts will come out. We talked about the designer profiles that Sammy will be working on. You have till Friday again. And then we have some links to follow us on social media. I believe that there's one more thing to talk about. So for out of town folks, I'm going to be sending information about the Holiday Inn downtown. And I believe I put it on one of these pages. Yes, here we go. So the Holiday Inn downtown is located right next to the Omaha Design Center. Like, you could literally just walk a few steps and you'd be at the venue. So it is the most convenient place for out of town folks to stay. We have discount codes for blocks of rooms that are valid till July 22nd for both Rack Check. So the day before and the day after Rack Check, and then to show week, the 23rd through the 28th, so that you guys can have extended stays if you need to. Please let me know if there's something going on with that link, but it should work last time I checked. And that's a great way for you guys to make sure that you're saving a little bit of money when you're traveling. The last thing that I will talk about is safety. Probably the first thing that I should have talked about before I bored you guys to death, but safety is so important. When we were backstage with hundreds of people, especially a lot of minors who maybe this is their first time walking in Omaha Fashion Week and they're 16 and their parents are out to support, this could be like very well the biggest day in their lives right now. We want to make sure we keep these kids in their bubble and that we're not bursting it with any of our nonsense that we might be putting them up to. So once you get into the design center, you're leaving drama at the door, you're leaving negativity at the door. There's no tolerance for hate. There's no tolerance for bullying. There's no tolerance for drugs, alcohol. The only thing you can have backstage is non-alcoholic drinks. I'd like it to just be water so nobody spills on your stuff. But we like to keep it safe as possible. When you think about the fact that we're casting 12 and up, there might be 13-year-olds that are walking for your line. And so keep that in mind with the way that you speak. Keep that in mind with the way that you act. And if you see anything that doesn't sit right with you, even if you're unsure, maybe everything's fine, I don't know, just come talk to me. I'll be back there. If you see something, say something, because maybe 4 people saw it and thought it was weird. And now I know that I need to go check that out. So that's my number one priority. I'm there to organize. I'm there to say hi and make sure everything goes smoothly, but really I'm there to make sure everyone's safe. And that's something I'm really passionate about. So be sure to let me know if you're feeling unsafe, if you hear something that you think might feel unsafe to someone else. And if you don't feel confident or comfortable, I should say, coming up to me and putting a name behind this information, you can text our reporting hotline, which the number is right here. It's also going to be posted on the walls all over the building backstage. So if you forget it, it'll be there. When you send that text, it automatically takes your message and text forwards it to me and Alyssa. So Alyssa out in the front in the audience, and then me backstage are going to get your message, and we're going to say, oh my gosh, this is what we need to deal with right now. Now we can't text back. That's one of the little flaws in the system. We can't text back. So please give us as much information as we need to handle the situation without further questions. We got one that was like, somebody's doing something in the bathroom. And I was like, what does this mean? Let me go to the bathroom. I mean, I did figure it out, but it didn't give me really all the pieces to the puzzle. So if you can give me as much information as possible without saying your name, that would be perfect. But yeah, I really want to reiterate that safety is super important. I don't know if Alyssa has anything else to say about this.
No, that was just so great. I really do think like a lot of just keep in mind, a lot of these models are underage and maybe not. Yes, they're professional. Many of them are, and they're also going to be getting some training and that sort of thing. But I think just being conscious that they are still people. You know, we've had designers in the past say, maybe make a comment like, oh, shoot, her hips are too big for this. And that can be really damaging to people. And it wasn't anything about the girl. The designer, I was there. The designer didn't mean it that way. It was just for what it fit, like for the fitting. But it's just something to always keep in mind for sure.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Brooke, do you have anything else to say about this?
I don't think so. I think you guys covered it. It's just, we're trying that the point of all of this is that we want to create a positive experience backstage for everybody. And for me personally, what I am most passionate about and what I love most about Fashion Week is that it gives us a chance to put a spotlight on all different types of people and help them feel loved and celebrated and seen. And anything that detracts from that mission, we want to cut out. We don't want that in the mix. And so that is why we have this anonymous reporting line. That's why we do make a big deal about opening ourselves up to, if you have something that's making you uncomfortable or feeling unsafe, that you know that there are people there that want to know that information and to support you in dealing with that. So all positivity, happiness, and love. That's what we're about.
Yes, very much so. And you guys as designers, although some of you might be the same age or your models might be older than you kind of do wear a leadership role in regards to them because you're telling them what to wear and what to do. So make sure that you definitely keep that in mind, keep that in context. They might be dealing with some stuff that you don't know about and they see you as an authority, so they're not going to say it to you. So if you do overhear conversations, don't expect that the models are going to go tell me. Definitely feel confident in being the one to tell me if something's going on. You'll literally actually see me running around backstage. So just literally grab my arm and be like, hey, I need to talk to you, because I will always prioritize safety over whatever else is going on. So definitely, feel free to chat with me anytime that you need to. Melissa, I saw you had something.
Yes, I love bringing up the power dynamic and that they look to you for leadership and authority. Last season, and it's happened many times, but one of our things that Brooke and Nick and our whole team really believes in is having no choreography on the runway, because of the thing that lasts after the show are those images, and we just want them to shine and that be the lasting thing. So we've said that, we've told the models, you know, don't do that if your designer asks you to blow a kiss at the end of the runway, or do some like, you know, pose with the leg or I don't know, something crazy, whatever, to not do that. And last year even it still happened. And I asked the models afterwards, I was like, dang it, guys, like I tried to tell you, you know, like if someone asked you to do something that, you know, we wouldn't want, you know, what's going on there. And they just felt like their designer was really adamant about it. And they felt like they had to do that. And that just felt really not great. And then the designer, when I brought it up to them, they had said, oh, I know, it was so funny. I was trying to get it in there. And it was like, no, that wasn't funny. And it doesn't feel good in any situation. So,
yeah. So that designer essentially like pitted him or herself. We will leave it anonymous, but this person kind of pitted themselves against Omaha Fashion Week, and the models were caught in the middle and not knowing what to do. And when you ask a model to do choreography, if that model doesn't have an opportunity to practice a ton, if they're not maybe a professional dancer as well as a model, sometimes those moves come off looking super awkward. And the photos that we get as a result of that are embarrassing. I mean, we have files of embarrassing photos that we will never post of beautiful clothes and beautiful work that would have otherwise been beautiful work by the model. We can't do anything with that because it brings the entire image of what you're trying to do as a designer, what the model's trying to accomplish, and all of our sponsors in Omaha Fashion Week, it brings it down. So there's a really good reason why we don't like to have a lot of that choreography. I mean, unless you're bringing in professional dancers who can make something not look awkward, there's no reason to have choreography on the runway.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate kind of what we've been talking about is for some of these models, they're only walking in one night and you're their person. That's it. And they brought all of their family and friends out, and then you ask them to blow a kiss on the runway and they're like, one day I want to walk for so-and-so and I want to make it huge. And the only photo I have is not even being published because I was told to blow a kiss. Like, they want to take themselves seriously as much as you do. So let's make sure that we, you know, let them walk. They're trained by Alyssa on how to walk. They know what they need to do. So there should be, you know, no need for you to tell them how to walk the runway. That's the one thing that's taken off of your plate. So if you have any questions on that, you can ask us, but we just definitely want to make sure that the production's taken seriously, that the models, that the designers, that everyone watches the show and they're knowing that it's a high quality show. Cool. Do you guys have any other questions? If you want to put them in the chat or unmute yourself, feel free.
I have one question about Shop the Runway.
Okay.
Okay, so do you guys prefer that we don't bring anything for like visual merchandising, like a banner or like artwork to display along with the clothing, or what's the policy on that?
Yeah, you can totally. So the only restriction you have is the fact that you have a footprint of the table and then a depth of about another table. It's an 8-foot table, and then you have a rack that runs alongside it, and whatever you want to put within your space is totally up to you. So if you want to have art, banners, anything, that's totally fine. We won't be able to like obviously hang anything from the ceiling or do any installations, but whatever you want to set up, totally fine. Cool. Anything else, y'all? No?
Okay, one more question about models.
Yeah.
And this is for Alyssa. So this is a winter show, and just kind of from a technical background, I'm doing a lot of layers, and I'm sure this isn't new to anybody else doing winter shows. So would you prefer that there would be one model walking the same look essentially twice, just peeling off a layer, versus two models walking the same layer side by side? Not the same layer, same look side by side, different layers. Does that make sense?
So before Alyssa jumps in, I will explain that we only have, I'm gonna mute you just because it's a lot of background noise, sorry. I will explain that we send models out one by one. So that's the timing of the show. We'll send a model out, they'll walk literally all the way to the end, and then we send the next model out and they go, you know, like that for the rest of the show. So you can't send anyone out 2 by 2, but we are okay with you like having them take a jacket off at the end of the runway or something like that. To show the actual garment. I don't know if Alyssa has any more to share about that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a, you are going to have the garment walk once and then you are going to change the layering and have that go back out, if that's a thing. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with her collection. So, but
Sorry,
if that,
yes, I'm gonna interject. Yes, there are like multiple layers to this collection, like 3 layers. So like one where it's like a model walks out and takes off the jacket, but then there's like an underlayer, like a base layer. Does that make sense?
so were you thinking about having that model go down twice?
Right. So just figure
Yeah,
out the
no.
logistics of that, either twice or 2 models.
No, a model's never gonna walk twice, so we definitely
Okay.
would book 2 models.
2 models. Sounds good.
Yeah,
We
and
love all the models. I love adding models. I want
Yeah,
more people
all
to
right.
participate. So
I'm
I
good with
love
that.
that.
and if we can definitely sit down, me, you, and Alyssa, and coordinate specifics because that collection sounds like it has some like nuances to it. So you can walk us through a little bit more detail later on before we.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else, you guys? Any questions about things we might have not touched on? Anything else?
Okay, with that said, she's saying 2 looks, so 15 looks max, yes?
Yes, 15 looks max.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we.
I guess I have one more question.
Yeah.
If we said that we had a certain amount of garments at the audition, could we possibly change the amount of looks that we have in a collection before we have them in the model pool figured out and everything like that?
Yes,
Yep.
thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Alyssa will always say it's easier to add looks than take away. If you take
Yep.
away looks, then a model cries to her mom that she had to get cut from the show, and we don't ever do that. So
Mhm.
when you submit your model preference form, we're going to ask you again how many models you want, how many male and female looks you want. So that's if you submitted 6 in your application and now it's 12, that's your chance to change it. We won't even ask. After that point, after your models have preference sheet has been submitted, you can't take any looks away. But if you 2 months down the line are like, hey, I have time to make another look, can you add 1 more model to my lineup? We are happy to do that for sure.
Cool. Sounds good.
Great question. Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, guys? No? Okay, well, I did email you guys and it's also on the page, but my phone number is available for you guys to text me anytime with things that might come up as the season progresses.
I
yeah.
just thought of something. So if you have issues with your models, meaning you send information out, we cast them. It happens sometimes that now a model schedule has changed and they can't come or you need a replacement, whatnot. You're going to be emailing that to Brianna and she compiles a list. We have a document, a shared Google Doc where she keeps putting our problem issues, problem child, things that I need to work on. And then once a week, I do all of those things and communicate all of that all at once because I am working. I wait till all of the issues kind of pile up and then I can set aside that time, handle those issues and we get back to you. So sometimes there's going to be a lag in that process. You might not, you get something back from Brianna immediately, I'm assuming, or within a day or whatnot, but the answer probably won't come until, Scout says hi, probably won't come until I have a chance to get to that, just so you know.
Yeah, and that's a great point that Alyssa likes to make. We think it's funny where you can reach out to me, but you can't reach out to her, but she can reach out to you. That's
That's
what-
such a messed up relationship.
so if you
Fully
are
am aware it's not a good look, but it's the way I
Very
can stay
busy.
sane.
it's my job to be, managing all of the designer stuff. So if something comes up, it's honestly better to text me with anything, unless it's like some long-winded question. An email works. But if you think of something and you just text me at whatever time, I will, during business hours, send that over to Alyssa, and probably on a Friday or a Saturday, she's going to get it over. And so when she sits down to do all of those requests for the week, she might be texting you and being like, hey, I need some clarification on this. So at that point you can respond back to her. But before that, if you have anything that comes up, just let me know.
And on that point, just to reiterate over again, if you DM Omaha Fashion Week with questions that are not marketing related, even if I know the answer, I will say, please contact Brianna. So please do not flood the Omaha Fashion Week DMs with questions that are not marketing related. Yep.
Because if they're not marketing related, she's going to text me and say, hey, what's the answer to this? And then you might as well have just asked me. So
I don't need to be a middleman.
keep her out of it.
Thanks, guys.
Kwame, I saw you raised your hand. Here, I'll ask to unmute.
Unmute. Okay. Hi. I was hearing a lot about the models. And I know a lot of them are amateur, and some of them, well, most of them may be underage. Is there a way, is there a way to filter the cast of models that you get in the Dropbox age-wise? Just because I don't do a lot of nudity, but there are some sheer pieces and stuff like that. And I have a rule about not working with underage models with those kind of looks. So as a general rule, I kind of X out underage models altogether because I don't necessarily feel comfortable, even if they feel comfortable wearing a lot of sheer looks.
So one thing I'm thinking I could do is we ask them if they're comfortable modeling swimwear, so we could filter out the information from there. But also, since you're a headliner, Alyssa is going to take her time to look through your preferences. And if you feel comfortable with her just casting for you, that might be an easy alternative to just give her kind of your idea, and then she can cast from there.
Okay, that might work.
Takes it off your plate. Dan's on the call too, and he's one of our renowned headliners. It's been around for many years, and so he just kind of lets Alyssa do her thing, and it always works out. He ends up getting the best models that way, just saying. Awesome, guys. Well, I have talked your ear off for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna let you guys get back to your regular scheduled lives. But I am always available to, text, call, email whenever you guys have questions come up throughout the season. So let me know if you need anything, okay?
Thank you. Bye, everyone.